It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. As always, great to have you in studio with us today. We are going to be talking about firefighters. Basically, hot shots, firefighters. The wildfire season is upon us, as we know. And Anthony Montiel is back. He's with the U.S. Forest Service, and he is a fire prevention officer, which is, you know, that's what we're trying to do here as well. It's all about fire prevention right now, right, Anthony?
Yes. Yeah, we're trying to prevent those fires that are occurring already out there. So
It's dry.
Yes.
And we're going to have more.
We will have more.
In your mind, is it more of if we'll have a wildfire this year or when and where?
It's just when and where.
It's when and where, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard you guys say that before too. All right, let's start off with your job description. What is your job description? Because before the show started here, I'm listening to you, and you've got quite a gamut of jobs that you do. So let's start with that.
So my main title is fire prevention officer for at Coconino and Prescott. We do both forests down here, and then and one of the other jobs I do have is fire prevention. Also, I do a fire investigation.
Okay.
So
if there's a fire, they call you and have you go in
and investigate it.
So how busy are you this year?
Starting out, it's starting out to be a little busy already.
That's too bad. Give me some for instances here.
There's just been some fires that have been, we get the highway fires, of course. Those are going to happen. There's been, we had one up on Horse Mesa. We went up to investigate that one. Maybe a campfire that somebody left. So it's already starting. Yeah.
So Coconino National Forest, we found out, had 2 abandoned campfires this last weekend, 2 the weekend prior. Prescott National Forest had 1 this past weekend and 0 the weekend prior, that they know of anyways. I mean, obviously there could be some out there that we never see.
Right.
But the interesting part about this is that they were all these fires are found on Sundays, which tells us what about that?
As people are leaving their camp or something, they just leave their campfires.
We're done for the weekend, we're going back home. And
and they think their campfire can go out on its own, I guess. I don't know.
All right, now, you made it a point before the show started that I kind of wanted somebody to come in with hot shot gear, and you have the hot shot gear with you today.
I have firefighter gear, yes.
You have firefighter gear, right? Okay, and that's the thing we're trying to I'm trying to clear up here. We've got firefighter gear and hot shot gear. This gear is very similar. You're not a hot shot, but this is gear that
very similar. Yep.
You respond to wildfires.
Yes.
And this is what you take with you.
Yes.
Okay, people who are watching on the channel can obviously see what we're looking at, but people on the radio will do our best to describe it, and then you can always go to the website, myradioplace.com at Verde Valley TV, and you'd be able to watch the show and see kind of the gear that he has here. It's not a lot of gear. You're kind of out there, you against the fire.
Yes, and with our tools, of course. And
what is the difference between? We're going to get to the gear. I want to go through all this, but I think we'll probably do that in the second half. What is the difference between what you do and what a hot shot is? Is there a big difference there?
The difference is that as a hot shot crew, there's a 20-person crew. They're very trained, very well in their what they do. I mean, they're first on scene. They cut the line, and stuff like that. They're together all the time.
And when you say cut a line, they're trying to build that initial barrier between the fire and what's next in the fire's path.
So you got fuels on one side, and then they try to clear that. The brush and everything else that's in between there and the fire.
Okay. How soon are they called when a fire breaks out?
No, depending on how big the fire is. As the fire gets bigger, then of course they're going to be calling in hot shot crews, air tankers, helicopters, all that. And then, so as soon as that fire has potential to get bigger, they're going to be called hot shot crews.
How big is a hot shot crew?
Like I said, they're a 20-person crew.
20-person. Okay.
Yep, and they hang out together all the time, so they know each other very well, and they get along. I mean, just they're just a machine. I have the utmost respect for them.
And they travel about the country too. I mean, we've got, how many hot shot grips do we have in northern Arizona?
In northern Arizona, like up in Flagstaff, we have the Blue Ridge, Mormon Lake, and Flagstaff hot shots.
Okay.
And then on the Prescott side, we have the Prescott hot shots.
Okay, so there's at least 4 teams up here.
Yep.
20 persons
in the
each.
Area.
But they can be called out of the state. If there's a wildfire someplace else other than Arizona.
They're national.
Okay.
Yep. And then even international. We've sent them to Puerto Rico, and so.
Now, when they're called out, do they normally take their vehicles with them, or do they fly to where these locations are and then just kind of get absorbed into other teams?
Most of the time, they are driving to the fires.
I figured as much because I've seen them in the parking lots and stuff.
Unless it's like cross country or something like that, then it would have to fly. But
when do you come into play? When does Anthony, firefighter, fire investigator, fire prevention officer, at what point in time is there's a fire, get Anthony?
Well, I'm usually the first on scene also, just to investigate. With my job, I get to what they call self-dispatch, so I can go to any of these fires that are going on.
Oh, really?
Where other folks have to be, called in by our dispatch. So the fire gets called in by the public or whatever. They call dispatch, dispatch calls us.
Okay.
And that's how it works.
And at that point in time, you get to decide whether or not you're going. I imagine you.
But most of the time, I'm going.
Right. Yeah.
Most of the time, I'm going because I know it has to be investigated, and depending where I'm at too. I mean, if I'm like miles and miles away, I'm not going to respond probably because by the time I get there, there's always going to be somebody else on it.
Right. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
I mean, you hear sometimes about those fires that everyone's standing around watching this thing burn, and it's like, who called 911? And they're like, ooh, none of us did yet. Oh, we better do that. I've heard of that happening too. So.
Yeah, there was one just down Frank Carroll Lane there that I don't know if anybody. It took a while for the fire department to get there, but
it happens.
It happens.
It happens. All right, so we're doing okay so far this year. I kind of feel like our wildfire season is like this snowball where you have these little tiny incidents happen, and now we've got these, like the forecast day is calling for 45-mile-an-hour winds, red flag warning, wind advisory, and I feel like it's just a matter of time before that snowball rolls down the hill and really gets big.
Yep.
And we're all concerned about that, of course. Why don't we take our first break? When we come back, we'll kind of go through the gear and talk about what kind of gear you've got to lug with you when you go out to some of these wildfires. U.S. Forest Service Fire Prevention Officer Anthony Montiel in studio today. I'm Paul David. This is Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Right, mi cariño. So like I said, everything I learned about cooking, I learned from Grandma's empanadas. Shall we go again?
Yep.
Mix the beef with the onions with the peppers with the paprika with the garlic with the oregano with the cumin. Got it?
Got it.
Throw on the olives, stir, season, stir again, pour out the flour, roll out the dough, make a circle, drop in a fistful of filling, fold over, press down, and ta-da!
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
They said a bottle was just a bottle. That no one would ever notice me. But I knew I could be more. That one day, I would make people smile.
Why is my son having trouble in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with my son over his homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No. He's smart, but his mind wanders.
7 Wonders of the World.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Anthony Montiel in studio today, a fire prevention officer for the United States Forest Service. We're talking hot shots, firefighters, firefighter gear. You mentioned, though, that you're an investigator, and I think I'm kind of glad you're in here for this part of it, too, because we don't hear much about the investigation. You guys are really tight-lipped when it comes to investigating wildfires, the cause, and, I mean, my standard lingo is it was a human-caused fire, which remains under investigation,
yes.
And I will have that pretty much throughout the entire fire incident. It's like something we don't even barely mention hardly at all. How difficult is it to investigate the cause of a wildfire or arson fires that are started out in the forest?
Depending on the situation or how it started, well, it sometimes can be hard, and sometimes not. Sometimes the evidence is right there. I mean, as long as you look at all your indicators and you follow it to the point of origin, and you're just like, oh, it was fireworks. There was fireworks sitting right there. Or sometimes you see the abandoned campfire, so you see this trail of lit material that's left the ring and kept on going. So
okay, so you're like a tracker.
Pretty
you got animal trackers, you got people trackers, so you're a fire tracker. You just kind of follow it and track it back to its origin. And say X marks the spot. This is where it began. This is where it began,
and then you start really concentrating on that area and see what you can find there.
And hopefully the public saw something, or you got information there.
Yeah, there's sometimes people leaving the area that need to get like their license plates and stuff like that. So
this time of year, we did a story with Tyler Boland. Tyler Boland, he's a fire investigator too. Anyways, we'd done a story with him as well. He was investigating the fire on Lake Marion Road a couple weeks back. And I asked him, I said, is it time for everyone to keep their eyes open when they're out in the forest, just for anything going on that looks suspicious? Or, you know, if I see a family that's got a campfire and they leave on Sunday morning, I get up and I see the fire still smoldering. I shouldn't just get up and leave mine smoldering and wander off either, too, right? I should put it out or call you guys. Or, and just everybody keep their eyes open for this stuff. All right.
Vigilant.
I imagine if I see somebody driving down the road with chains dragging too, and you could see the sparks just shooting off that call.
Yes.
So it's not that they're doing it intentionally. It's an accident, and
they just don't know or something.
Right. So it's all of our jobs to kind of help out with this stuff. I think we should probably go to your gear. I mentioned to you before the show started last year, Cottonwood Fire was in, and they brought in a bunch of their gear, and I mean, it just filled up this entire area. I even got to play with the thermal imaging camera for a little bit, which was a lot of fun. I know. But their gear was a little different from what you're bringing in today. Like here's your turnout.
It's, I guess you could call it that, but that's our fire shirt.
That's the fire shirt, and then the helmet looks different. Your tools are a little different. You got this big giant pack with you here, and that's really all you've got, and the boots on your feet.
Yes.
Go on, Anthony. Go fight that fire. It seems a little intimidating to me, you know, to have all this stuff. But you go through a lot of training, you mentioned.
Yes.
How much training do you think you go through a year?
Sometimes it's yearly. I mean, we get our refreshers and all that, and then we're able to take even more classes if we want and further our careers. But you get the basics, the 130, the S130, 190, which is this basic firefighting, and then fire behavior, and that's the real basics. And then you move on from there. They got all kinds of classes out there.
Well, I've noticed locally we've had several group exercises that have taken place over the last few weeks. Whether it be for some kind of a mass incident that's happening at, I think they had one over at Yavapai College where they did a practice drill there, to a couple of wildland fire ones recently.
Like scenarios? Or?
Yeah, scenarios, yeah. So those have happened recently. So this is the shirt. I know.
Fire resistant.
The Cottonwood Fire was in here, and they've got this big jacket that weighs 50
that's
pounds.
their turnouts. Yeah.
Those are the turnouts. But this is the shirt. Now
if they wore that on the wildfire, they probably wouldn't last too long.
And that, I mean, it's pretty hot where you're at working on those fires, right?
Yes.
Smoky.
Can be.
So what is this doing for you? This piece of the shirt.
Like I said, it's fire resistant. It's not fireproof. So it keeps some of the ashes and stuff that's blowing on you, that keeps that at bay. Some of the heat, not as much, but you're still able to fight the fire without getting embers on something that would burn.
Now it's yellow. I imagine that's to help you be visible.
That too. I'm not sure why that's yellow. We've had, I think the fire departments have some different colors, but
yeah. So it just happens.
Applied.
Okay. All right.
Just to see us on the ground, maybe from the air too. But.
Could be. That's a good point. Yeah, with all that black fire and stuff going on, look down and see,
Bunch
yellow.
of yellow.
But, I mean, look at this thing. I mean, it's not very yellow anymore.
No, I got
a new one.
Probably get a new one. Yes.
Yeah. Helmet. It's much smaller than the ones I've seen before, and it's. I noticed that the gear is, although it's very hot, it's pretty lightweight gear.
Yeah. And then, unlike the fire departments, they got their shields and all that whole get up there. But they're going inside buildings. We will not go inside buildings.
Yeah, this is like a construction hard hat almost.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yes.
Just to keep things from falling and hitting you on the head.
Yep.
Rendering you unconscious out there in the field.
There's branches, what they call widowmakers from trees.
Widowmakers?
Widowmakers.
Branches that fall off of trees?
Yeah, they're just like dead branches on trees. They can come down at any moment.
That's what you guys call them, huh?
Widowmakers, yes.
Oh, boy, that's brutal. All right, and we got some tools over here, too.
Yes. Shovel.
Shovel, and you've got yours protected around the edge, too.
Yeah, this is to protect the edge.
Keep it sharp?
Yep. Keep it sharp.
Okay.
So you take that off. I mean, has multi-use. That's kind of one of my favorite tools, because you can scrape with it. You can pick up dirt and throw dirt at a tree or whatever, or at the fire.
I never thought about that, but yeah.
Dirt and fire.
With dirt.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes that's all we got. We don't always have water.
I guess so. Right.
And then dig, of course. You can dig with it. And then we got the Reinhardt. It's kind of like a shovel. The tip's been cut off.
Right. It looks almost like a hoe.
And then, just a big hoe. And all the edges are sharp. And then you can dig with it. Okay. Just grub with it.
There's that line, the line maker, right? Okay, you're making your line with that? Okay.
Yep, same. And then the Pulaski. So you got a sharp edge on this side, grubbing end on this side, so you can dig with that, cut some branches or tree branches or a tree. I've seen trees cut with this.
So an axe.
Yes.
With a pry bar on the back end of it. Now, do you carry all three of those with you all the time?
No. Like on the fire, I'd probably just pick one of these tools.
Oh, and take your favorite with you.
Yep.
So the shovel's in your pack. All right. All right. You know what? We have to take our second break. Okay. When we come back, we'll try to hit the pack a little bit and see kind of what you're carrying in there. Okay. Anthony Montiel's in studio today with the U.S. Forest Service Fire Prevention Officer. This is Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Of all the things you've done with your bike, donating it to Goodwill may be the most incredible of all. Your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community, which means your stuff can be more powerful than you think. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making Home Affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Every budget, so don't accept defeat. Now you can get covered and still buy me treats.
You take care of your pets. Now it's their turn to take care of you. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn about your health insurance options.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just a couple minutes left in the program. As always, we encourage you to make sure your campfire's out. Don't drag chains behind your vehicle. I think some people, Brady Smith was talking about it from Coconino National Forest, some people move here and don't realize that just how dry it is because maybe they come from the Midwest or up north or just an area that's not quite as prone to that. And they hear, a chain dragging down the road can cause fires and stuff. But even you get a flat tire, the rim starts to spark, there's a problem. Catalytic converters, we had that on Cornville Road last year where it just kind of popped loose and bits and pieces were coming out of the tailpipe starting fires. Parking your hot car over tall, dry grasses. Not only do you lose the grass, but you also lose your car more than likely. So there's a lot of things to think about, and we all just have to take a moment to stop and think about these things. Let's talk about some of the things that are in your pack.
In my
got
pack.
a lot.
Well, it's mostly water, I would have to say.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we carry these Camelback. I got a Camelback in there. So I have the hose that comes around so I can just get to it easily. But then there's extra water, extra canteens. And then the MREs, which is the meals ready to eat. Carry one of those in
delicious,
case.
I hear.
Yeah, delish. They're getting better. They're actually getting better. But yeah, so I carry one of those in there too, just in case. And then it got the trail mix is really good. I love to carry, and beef jerky.
So you're lugging food and water in here pretty much.
Food and water,
hydrated
man.
because it's really hot out there.
But we got the other stuff like the GPS.
Binoculars?
Flagging. No binoculars.
Camera?
I do have a camera. This is for investigation purposes. And then extra batteries, flagging if we need to flag the fire so other people can get to it. Stuff like that.
Gloves.
Gloves. Gotta have those.
Yeah.
And then the radio also. So, and then the fire shelter.
The fire shelter's down at the bottom there.
Down at the bottom so you can grab it.
You ever use one of those?
No.
Had to?
Don't
Come
want
close?
to.
Don't want to.
Don't want to.
Yeah, that is like a taboo, isn't it, right there? You don't want to.
Don't want to ever do that, but it's there if needed, but it's the last resort.
Right. Okay, we won't have to use any of this stuff if we just be careful.
If everybody's careful, then we save our firefighters, and we're their safety, I guess, is we're.
Yeah, everybody's safety. And then, we've had so many thousands upon thousands of acres burned over the last dozen years that I've been doing the news, at least, and it's just amazing to me that there's any forest left sometimes out there. Anthony Montiel, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Excellent job. Very good job. Very interesting. Always good to talk to you guys. That's today's Countywide. I'm Paul David, and we will talk to you again next time.